Nope. All right. And we are live. All right. Hi, everybody. And thank you so much for tuning in. I am so excited to be here with Danielle, again, my partner in crime. And we have Christina Roulund here with us tonight.
Hi.
And we're so excited to talk to Christina. She is the founder of Size Happy, and she's also the admin of Breast Implant Illness, Rejuvenation, and Education, which is a wonderful group where I find to be very inspiring. So thank you for that, Christina. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to sit here and talk with you about this.
Absolutely. And before we get started, we just want you to know that none of us are here to be your doctor. We are here to tell you what works for us, and we're just here to educate and inspire and empower. So always look to your doctor for advice. Danielle, good?
That's perfect.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say none of us are doctors or medical practitioners. I was like, oh, what?
No.
Not on the show.
I didn't forget Dr. Oz. So anyway, Christina, thank you so much for being here. So we're here tonight to talk about emotional well-being after explant and while women are waiting to explant. But before we do that, I really want you to just touch upon your own story. So wherever you want to start, tell us a little bit about you and how this has all evolved for you.
All right. Okay. So where I feel like my story kind of picks up in regards to breast implants and breast implant illness is when I was really like 14. So I just got my period. I just gained a lot of weight, and I became very insecure in my body, very self-conscious, never wore shorts to school, anything like that, and would always see the girls with bigger breasts get all the attention, right? And then, of course, that goes into high school, and it follows you. And so, you know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was MTV, which I loved, and there was Carmen Electra and Jenny McCarthy and Pamela Anderson and all these like really pretty girls who were very attractive, and they all had breast implants, and I never really got breasts. And so back then it was just like the thing to do. If you didn't have breasts, you just go out and buy them, and it was acceptable, and at least I didn't feel like anybody ever judged you for it. And so when I was 19, I told myself I'm going to go get breast implants. It took a few years for me to actually like afford it and go through with it, but I was 23, almost 24, and I got the breast implants. And I got 420cc silicone smooth under the muscle, and everything was fine. I loved them. I got them personally because I just felt like it was something that I couldn't build or anything like that. I was definitely into fitness and health and all of that, but you know, you can't grow your breasts. So I just felt like this is going to be the thing that fixes me and makes me feel whole and womanly, and I'm never going to worry about my body ever again, right? And I got the breast implants, and I definitely felt confident. I got to wear the cute clothes and all of that. But then within like a year, now I'm picking on my stomach and I'm picking on my cellulite, and it's just like another thing. So, you know, just to kind of go into here, if anybody feels like breast implants are going to fix, you know, a bad body image, it's not. It might be very temporary, but I'm here to tell you just from what I've gone through, it's a very temporary thing.
I agree.
And, you know, for the first 5 years that I had them, no issues, nothing. It was great. And then when I had my son in 2011, I feel like my pregnancy may have triggered something. So I started to experience a lot of fatigue and a lot of just brain fog and memory issues, and just felt really slow in my head. And I just thought, I'm a brand new mom. I just had a baby. I'm hormonal. I was used to waitressing, and I was a personal trainer. So I was used to being out of the house and around people and always going out and everything like that. And now I was the new mom. I was a stay-at-home mom. So I just felt like I'm bored and I'm hormonal. And the brain fog and the fatigue actually never ended up going away. It would just kind of get worse every year and linger and stuff like that. And then in 2014 is actually when like almost everything started. And so I know for a lot of women, it can kind of like trickle in and sneak in the back door. Whereas I feel like for me, gosh, within like 6 months, I just felt like I was falling apart. So just to kind of go back a little bit, from the age of like 15 to now, I was always into health, always into fitness, always taking really good care of myself. I did fitness competitions and everything like that. So I was very in tune with the body and health and taking care of yourself. But here I was in my early 30s, like just falling apart for no reason. And so like in October 2014 is when I started to get like little tenderness under my armpit area. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I actually went to stretch my skin in the mirror and I saw this little ball. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I went to my gynecologist, I think within the week, and she said, it looks like a lymph node. If it goes away and then comes back, definitely go see a regular doctor. So I was like, okay. And so she didn't seem too concerned about it. So I wasn't concerned about it at all. I just went on my merry way. And then it did end up going away, but then it came back in December of 2014. So like 2 months later. And that's when I was like, okay, something's definitely going on with my body, because your lymph nodes don't just respond to nothing. It's responding to something. And so I went to my doctor again. She felt it, touched around. I mean, it was incredibly sore. I don't know if anybody's ever had swollen lymph nodes underneath the armpit, but even just like your bra touching it, laying on your side, it was really sore. And so I went to my doctor. She felt around and she's like, yeah, it feels like a lymph node. Your body's probably just fighting something. She put me on antivirals and antibiotics, and neither of those two things did anything for me. It just kind of made me feel like loopy in my head. And then this is like when everything started for me. So by January 2015, so the following month, is when I started to have really, really, I could say really like a million times, just really bad anxiety and depression. Something I've really never experienced before, and it just came out of the blue. I also started to lose a lot more hair when I took showers. My eyes started to get like more dry and blurry with eye floaters. Later that year, I started to get really bad hip joint pain in my hip, to the point to where, like, especially in the mornings, I would feel like I'm like 80 years old and I've never worked out in my life, and everything was just really stiff and achy. And it took like 10 minutes in the mornings just to kind of really get that going. And again, here I am, I'm in my early 30s, taking really good care of myself, and I have fatigue, brain fog, my lymph nodes swollen, I'm losing hair, I have anxiety, I have depression, my eyes are getting really bad all of a sudden, and I have hip joint pain.
That's normal.
Right? Like I'm in and out of the doctors, and it's either we can't find anything wrong with you, I don't know why you're dealing with this, here's some Xanax for your anxiety. I did blood work, and I actually did find out I had the Epstein-Barr virus, which I didn't know I had before, but I was just always coming into the doctor because of fatigue or just feeling really run down, and I wanted to know what was going on with me. So they finally did like an Epstein-Barr virus panel and found out that I at one point had it. And, you know, just like the mental aspect of all this, I literally felt like I was dying. I literally felt like, I literally felt like I had like a rare cancer that no doctor could figure out, and I was gonna die, and I wasn't gonna see my son grow up and graduate. Like when we have all this anxiety and this uncertainty of what's going on with our body, our brain and our thoughts can go like way left field and worst case scenarios. And I was definitely dealing with all that. And you know, I was in and out of the doctors, I was doing all the things. I mean, I even went so far as to pee on pH strips just to keep my body, to make sure my body's alkaline, because I was reading up on cancer and how it thrives in an acidic environment. And I'm like, I have to make sure I'm always like more alkaline. Like I was doing all the things.
Right.
And so 2016 came along, and I was watching the ball drop with my son and my husband and my sister-in-law. And I just remembered thinking to myself, this is going to be the last year that I watch a ball drop, because I'm not going to make it next year, whether it be from my own doing or from this health condition. I literally felt like I was not going to make it. And just in 2017, I just kind of, I guess, came to terms with this is just how I am. This is just how I'm feeling. I adjusted my life and myself and my personality. I just adjusted everything to how I was feeling and just came to terms with, I guess this is just it. We can't find anything wrong. And luckily, I found out about breast implant illness and explanting that year. So the news was on downstairs, and there was a handful of women on the news, my local news, and they were talking about something called breast implant illness and explanting. And these
What year? Can you remind me what year this was?
2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they were going about how they had all of these symptoms. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like exactly what I'm going through. And then they were talking about how they explanted or they removed their breast implants, and either all their symptoms just completely went away or they at least vastly improved. And I was like, oh my God, that was my aha moment. I knew within my gut and my intuition, that is what's going on with me. I am healthy. I'm doing all the things. I am young. And I'm looking for exterior things that are like toxic, but what is exterior is actually in my body.
Yeah.
They mentioned the groups, and I went inside the groups, and for the first time in years, I felt validated, heard, safe, understood. I didn't feel alone. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, I just knew it. This is it. I brought my husband into the mix, and I was like, honey, I think it's my breast implants that are actually making me feel this way. And I would tell him about stories, and I started to learn about like the symptoms and the chemicals made up of implants, and what they do to the body and the hormones and all of this. Like, I just started like enthralling myself into all of this, and made the decision that when my time did come to do some kind of surgery, it will be removing my breast implants, because at this time I was at like my 10-year mark, and I knew that breast implants had to be exchanged every 8 to 10 years, unlike a lot of women. Yeah. And so I knew like I'm going to have a surgery pretty soon. And it's like, I'm so fortunate that this information came to me before I decided to just re-implant. So
what month in 2017?
That I found out about breast implant illness? Oh, I don't know exactly. I want to say mid to late 2017, somewhere in like the summerish times, probably.
You explanted in 2018, right, Christina?
Right, I explanted 2018. Okay. So life went on, time went by. I knew like, look, this is exactly what's going on with me. I know that I'm going to explant, but we did a lot of traveling. I did homeschooling, all of the things. And then I started to experience some gasping for air, which was really like my last symptom that came in. So I was gasping for air, just shortness of breath. And I was upstairs doing laundry, and I was gasping for breath. And I was like, I knew that was one of the symptoms. And I had this voice that came to me. I didn't even think I had this voice, and it said, Christina, you know about breast implant illness. What you're experiencing is not normal. Go take care of this. Go set up your explant surgery. Like, that all just came to me, and I was like, okay, like I gotta do this. This is not good. I'm gasping for air while doing the laundry. So I went downstairs and I told my husband, and I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna go schedule my explant surgery with aquaplastic surgery, which is literally just like 25, 30 minutes down the road from me. And just get my explant consultation going, because I'm upstairs gasping for air. I'm tired, I'm fatigued, I have hip joint pain, I'm losing my hair, like I'm losing my mind. I just wanna get this over with, right? And he's supported me through this whole thing. So I did my consultation, and in August, this Sunday will be my 2-year explant date. So August 2nd, 2018 is the day that I explanted. Wow. And I walked into that explant with hip joint pain, and since I've walked out of it, I've experienced nothing, no hip joint pain. Yeah. I haven't experienced a bout of depression or anxiety. My hair I'm not losing all of it in the shower anymore. My eyes are so much better just visually. I feel better. I have so much energy. I'm just creating things all the time now. Whereas before, I was literally a couch potato. I was not doing much at all. I was just always tired.
Right.
And I have my life back. And honestly, that's really why I created my group, was because I knew I wanted to talk about this and advocate for it and share my story. And I really wouldn't be able to do it in any other groups, because it was just considered promoting and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to kind of like create my own platform and welcome everybody in it and all of that. And so that's why I really created my group, because I was so stunned by my own experience and results. And I knew firsthand that it was real. And I couldn't just sit back and watch the next generation of girls go through this and not know.
And or men, and or transgender, and or yes. I don't want to leave anyone out, because this is the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. This, especially if you're married, if you have kids and family, whatever it may be, it's a whole community thing. Like, it's not just me affected, it's my husband, it's my son, you know, and for others it might be like their parents are affected by seeing you, you know, so sick all the time. And yeah, thank you for saying that, because it very much so, it really does affect everybody in some certain way.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's my story in a nutshell.
Well, I have to say, so we met each other in person all together at the FDA testimonies in March, right? It was a year ago in March. And Christina and I were talking just before we went live, saying that, you know, I feel like I know everybody in this community, but yet we never really have a chance to sit down and talk. And I cannot believe the similarities between our two stories, between the bodybuilding, the lymph nodes. There's so many similarities. So just thank you for sharing that, because it's always good to just hear everybody else's, you know, their journey. Yeah. I want to know now, so you explanted and everything. How soon after you explanted did you start your group? Because I know it's hard when you're an admin of a group, like it takes a lot of energy and time, and, you know, we're all moms and working and, you know, doing our, you know, have our own lives.
Yeah.
How soon after your explant did you end up starting your group?
I think I started it like 3 weeks after. Wow. I think it was like September 29th, if I look back at the day I created. I think it was like 3 weeks after my explant, I created it, because I was writing the blog and I was like sharing my story, and I couldn't share it anywhere. Right. I couldn't get it out there and help women, so I just created my group. I was like, I'm doing this.
Right. Okay. So God bless you for that. That's incredible. So, you know, I think that, you know, Danielle and I, we talk to so many people, and everybody in this community brings something different to the table. And I think every person brings value. So
absolutely.
I know that for me, I definitely align more with the emotional piece of what happens with breast implant illness. And I think you do too, Christina. So like, let's just dive into the emotional aspects of
not I have my Garba Mate earrings on, just so you know.
Not only explanting, but also the women who are waiting to explant.
Yeah.
I have tons of friends in the community, and I heard a very sad story about a girl this week who was waiting to explant, was told by various doctors that it was in her head, it was not her implants, and she ended her life this week. And, you know, this is such an important topic, I think, to touch upon. It makes people all emotional, because I don't think that any one of us didn't have the thought that we all had the thought we were going to die. And I know personally, and I think both of you would agree, that if I had to continue living like that, I just didn't want to live anymore. Yeah. So just, can you touch on any of that, Christina?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot to say when it comes to the emotional aspect of this. So, especially if we've never heard of breast implant illness and we're going to doctors, like, we do feel like we're crazy. We do feel like, what is wrong with us? When we can't get answers and nobody takes us seriously and nobody understands us, you got those three things. I don't have an answer, nobody believes me, and nobody understands what I'm going through. That's a recipe for just like a mental shit show, so to say, right? You're just questioning yourself. You have worry, doubt, and those two things alone do so much to the body, the physical body, the emotional, mental body. And so, gosh, if you're waiting for your surgery, I feel like laughter is the best medicine. Really, like, it's so true. You know, as simple as a lot of this may sound, and you've probably heard it all before, these are just things that I really truly believe, but like, focus on the things that really bring you joy and happiness right now. Get your mind off of things, because ultimately what you focus on, you're just going to bring more attention to. And I know it's harder said than done. Like, trust me, I know it. We have so many support groups now, which is amazing, because back when I was really in the thick of it and going through it, I didn't know about these support groups. I didn't know anybody. that was going through what I went through. So we're so fortunate now to have these support groups. And I always say, there's nobody who will ever understand you more than somebody that's gone through this.
Yeah.
Not even my husband, as much as he does understand, he will never understand really what I'm going through like you guys will. And so really lean on these support groups. It's what they're here for.
And I run
with people.
I run a support group too, and we're live in that support group right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to let the women know everyone is welcome. Like you don't have to be, oh, I'm explanting in a month or I'm explanting next year. It doesn't matter if you're not going to be able to do it for 3-4 years, whenever. You're all welcome into the group. And I remember doing a post a long time ago, like, we all talk about the heal, and the heal is real, and it is. But I also think that we need to touch on the fact that healing can begin when you find out what's wrong with you. Like, it doesn't have to just start like everybody's like, I have to get to explant. I have to get to explant. Now that you know what's wrong with you, if you can't explant, see if you can find somebody functional, practitioner to work with, and there are things that you can do. So ladies, I don't know what you want to say about that, but you can't just look at that explant as the end all be all. We have to, okay, go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah. And so much to say. So it begins with awareness, right? And let's take different scenarios. Christina, jump in too. Let's say you don't have the money to explant until we can get this friggin' ICD-10 code going and things like that. There are ways to optimize, right?
Yeah.
There are things to visit, not only from a functional medicine point of view, but from the, I would say for my journey, the manual therapy, somatic experiencing, craniosacral, even Reiki, to give us access to something which I'm just even at this stage of my healing. I don't know that I have specific words to how it can contribute, but there is much we can do before explant. And it's not all about just getting X supplements in you to nourish and do all this kind of stuff. That's part of it too, or can be, but there's so much that we can do. And the journey on explant, I think respectively so, some, boom, they're all happy-go-lucky. Lucky son of a bitches. And then there's some that maybe takes 3 months and 6 months and some 2 years. And then there's always maybe that 10% that is like, I know I can have access to this. Like, it's a journey. Samantha, the PT that was on a couple of weeks ago, I like to call it an experience, right? And for a good bit of the time, it's a shitty experience, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I didn't drop the F-bomb yet, right? So, but there is healing, and I really wish, and I don't want to name names, I wish someone who I've been talking to who just explanted would chime in tonight. I might text her in a minute. And she had a really shitty experience before, and she just got 3 days of not shitty. Right? But she explanted maybe 3-4 weeks ago. She didn't think those 3 days of not shitty were ever going to come. She's still a little bit in pain and things like that. So whoever's listening, like, it's not always like in these groups, everyone's like, oh, I explanted, I'm fine. I'm 80% better. I'm 90% better. Like it's more than that. And
Yeah, I always think that explanting isn't the cure. It's just the step one in the healing process. I don't know if you guys would agree, but and I'm glad that you mentioned all that too. I wrote some notes so I wouldn't forget anything, but I didn't actually feel good and with it from my explant for like 5 weeks. I broke out in horrible red itchy rashes underneath my armpits the day after my explant, and I was dealing with that for 3 weeks. And then just from the surgery, probably the antibiotics, the anesthesia, all of that stuff, and your body just naturally cleansing and detoxing, I didn't feel good for like 5-6 weeks after my explant. And I really just took that time to relax and ask for help, which is definitely what I would recommend anybody do. Relax, rest, ask for help, self-care the heck out of yourself, and patience with your body and with yourself and with your healing journey.
Nourish.
Said, which brought up some more things, is we compare ourselves so much to other women, not only our body, but for those of us going through an explant, we compare our healing journey to other women. For instance, you just explanted 2 months ago and you're feeling like crap, but then you see another woman make a post, I explanted 2 months ago and I'm feeling amazing. I'm traveling to Europe. I'm running a marathon. And she's
opening a Facebook group.
Right? And you're like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with my body? What am I doing wrong? And you might not be doing anything wrong. Yes. We're all on a different healing journey, as similar as we are. We are all on our own healing journeys. And your body just may need to take a little bit longer to repair, to rebuild, to cleanse, to get back to that balance than hers does. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. I'm always telling everybody to trust in your body. Trust your body. It is miraculous, like more miraculous than I think any of us even know how miraculous it is. It is on your side, even though it might not feel like it. Did you want to say something, Danielle?
Yeah. How do you, because I know you do some coaching. I'm curious, and this is always an interesting challenge for me. It was a challenge for me just to get connected with my body, right? Like I remember a body worker saying to me, Tom, who we had on the show, can we call it a show? Is this a show? Like, this thing, he said, well, tell me if this hurts. I'm like, I don't care if it needs to hurt so I get better. Do it. Like, like work the shoulder, do what you got to do. He's like, yeah. Like with this nervous system thing. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And that was so not connected. I didn't know it then, right? So and I may be putting you on the spot, but like that connection to self is a big deal. And I don't know. I mean, I thought I was connected when I got breast implants because I was at like the peak of my fitness career and 48, like it was just awesome actually. And I got breast implants, and that I think for me, it's not that it made me more disconnected, but it was just something like my brain or my not ego in the sense of like my like the way we think of ego, but what I thought needed to be done culturally, or like at 48 to be able to have a 6-pack and a rack. Like I thought that was a good thing, and I thought that was everything. And
so are you wondering how do
you get people connected? Yeah. Like just simply connected. Like now I'm like, oh, drop into your pocket and I'll do like manual therapy, and people are like, oh, that's connected, but that's different. Like, I don't know how, I don't think I could answer that.
Something that I would recommend everybody do, regardless of if they have breast implant illness or not, is to just spend time with yourself. Like, sit with yourself in those thoughts and get to know yourself and really connect with yourself. If you're trying to figure out an issue, like maybe somebody triggered you or something, like ask yourself, where do you feel that in your body? Because oftentimes we feel things in our throat, we feel it in our gut, we feel it in our heart. Those are really the main places, like it just feels off, right? And so ask yourself like where you're feeling that. And then I would personally just like visualize some white light or something penetrating into that area and asking myself some clarity questions that only I am going to know the answers to. So like, why does this person trigger me? Or why is this triggering me? Or why am I doubting this? Or like, I'm asking me all the whys. And it's so funny. This is kind of an offside story, but my husband calls me very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. I just know what I want. I'm very stubborn. And he says with some things I need to go to therapy for. And I said, I wouldn't even listen to the therapist because the therapist doesn't know my soul, right? And we all just had a big laugh. But it's like, we like, our intuition and our self knows the answers. And if we really just sit with ourselves and can ask ourselves these questions and be very vulnerable and very honest, that will get us farther, in my opinion, than any other therapy session that there is. We know what feels off. We know what feels amazing. We know what is a hell yes, what is a hell no. We like energy introduces you before you enter that room. I truly believe in that phrase. So you can like feel things that aren't there. And it's really just asking yourself, why this, why that? I don't know if that answers your question, but that's just kind of like what
we have one of our sisters, Lisa, she says, you have to be still with yourself. And I think that that's absolutely right. Like,
yes,
you know, when we're sick with breast implant illness, we're in this like
hypervigilant.
Yeah. And we're all, you know, like we're on that hamster wheel and we're go, like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And we have our explant, and then, you know, maybe you feel great initially and then you have your flare, or you don't feel great initially. And you're like, okay, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?
All the questions. Yeah.
We're trying to fix when I think we need to just be still and listen. And like you said, spend time with yourself and really feel what it is that your body, because your body's telling you, it's listening to you, it's really communicating with you, but you have to quiet in order to hear what it's trying to say, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we're all so busy and distracted with everything. And so we have to give ourselves that time.
Yes.
For ourselves and for our sanity. And were you gonna say something?
Yeah.
So I was one of those people that would sit and meditate and breathe and get more anxious when I would breathe, especially on the exhale. Yeah. And I would listen. And I don't know, and I know a little Portuguese, I know a little Greek, and I know a little more than Spanish, right? So, and I didn't hear a thing. It was just white noise. So I want to speak for the half of the people who are in what I would call a freeze. And by freeze, we've got fight, flight, and freeze. And when you're in a freeze, I think I'm almost going to cry. Ooh. I think if you can't hear, give compassion to yourself. Have compassion. Hold yourself. Hold space for yourself, especially when you're in the thick of it. I think there's more to say here. Because I did what you said to do, and I couldn't get there. And I think that and I didn't believe I could get there either. So let our sisters who have gone before you, some immediately healed, some not, some on the journey, believe in that, you know, give them something to hold on to. Because it is true, there is, you know, even if you explant and it's not the implants, I honestly think that from a physical, physiological, and even an emotional neurotransmitter, microbiome, you know, physiological place, removing the implants is a healthy thing to do, period. Dealing with the cellular, physiological, and the emotional reason why we got the implants, which you couldn't have talked to me about that until today, or like until like January of this year. Because I was at the height of my life, you know, whatever. And like, I think there is some space that I would like to hold for the people who can't connect with themselves, because it's not just do this. It's so easy. It wasn't easy for me. And I don't mean to like dominate the conversation, but there is a space where all I could do was just, and until I read Gabor Mate's book about when the body says no, and like having compassionate inquiry, and hence the earrings, by the way, today for you, Christina. You know, it really is, there is a you inside, And when we're go, 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 fix, 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 I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I feel like I'm dying, there's no rest. And without rest and digest, it's a tether for health, right? And so, yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, those are great points. And I was thinking, you know, I have quite a few women to reach out to me and say, I'm doing all the things.
Right.
And I say, well, how long have you been doing all the things? And they would tell me how long. And I said, well, why don't you just take a break? Like, just be. Stop doing and just be. Don't put so much pressure on yourself of having to take this at this time and do this at this time and incorporate this. Like, let's just be for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And just give it all a rest, because we can put so much pressure on ourselves to detox and heal and take all the supplements and see all the therapists and do the Reikis and all of the things, right? And so why don't we just be and release some of that pressure that we're putting on ourselves without maybe even knowing it?
And I agree. I think it's that rest that heals. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that rest heals when you give a little more zinc and a vitamin D and correct all your minerals and things like that. But, you know, you've got to you've got to find your own balance.
Yeah.
I had to find my own balance.
And it's going to look different for everybody. It's going to look so individualized for each of us. The other piece of this, which a viewer just mentioned, is the anger. And I know in my book, I talk about letting go of that anger because it's literally an extension of your implants. It is literally holding you prisoner to your experience, your implants, your illness, your sickness defining you. And we have to learn to let that go. Even if you're waiting to explant and you're angry because you see other people being able to have the surgery, you know, we have to somehow harness that anger and
channel it into advocacy.
There you go.
That's right. So it's huge. Like if, you know, because Christina, I know you talk to women daily, I'm sure, just like the rest of us. And, you know, how are you able to guide people through some of those feelings of anger and letting go?
Forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's forgiveness.
But how?
Forgive
Come
yourself.
On. We can't just drop it like.
Forgive yourself for going through the surgery. Forgive your ex-husband for talking you into them. Forgive who you were when you were 15 years younger ago. Just like forgive. I just feel like I always say self-care, forgiveness, and patience are the three things to focus on post-explant, because there is a lot of forgiveness that really needs to happen, even if you feel like you're in a really good place. I feel like shame, guilt, fear, and worry are the foremost common like emotions that we feel when we're going through breast implant illness. Like I know I was going through all of that before I even knew what breast implant illness was. I was feeling very, very shameful, very guilty. Well, actually I was dealing with like the shame and the guilt after I discovered breast implant illness, more so like, oh my gosh, how could I do this to myself? Why didn't I know better? Why didn't I figure this out 3 years ago that it was probably my implants? But then there's also like the worry. For me, it was like those 5-6 years of just worry, what is going on with me, worry. And after I explanted, I was very emotional out of the blue for no reason. And I hear that all the time. Like 1 minute I'm fine and the next minute I'm just crying for no reason. And from what I know, because I've seen many, many posts within my own group of women saying, I'm so emotional after surgery. Is this normal? That's why I wrote a blog on it, because I find the most common questions that a lot of women are asking, and I just write a thing about it. But it is very common because you're having these emotions that when they're not properly processed and when they're not properly released, whether it be crying, screaming, communication, they get stuck and stored in our body and in our energy centers. And that really flows down the energy within our body, which can, in my opinion, slow down the healing capabilities of it. So when I love tapping, and I'm actually in the middle of working on a tapping video in regards to anger, especially post-explant when you're not feeling like your body's healing fast enough. So I'm going to be talking about anger. But just know that those emotions are really normal, and your body has so much pent up worry and fear and shame from all those years. And it's just that relief that you felt after your explant of, oh my God, I went through the surgery, I made it through the surgery, and now I'm on my way to feel better. Like all that relief, you're going to have those emotions that come up. And what I always say with emotions is don't judge them, don't manipulate them, don't shove them down, don't push them aside. You have to feel those emotions to heal. We've all heard that saying, and it's very true. You have to feel to heal. Oftentimes, feeling does not feel pretty, doesn't feel pleasant, but you have to feel them to just get them out of your system, or you're going to be dealing with it months and months down the road when you least expect it. Something might trigger you, it might pop up, that emotion might pop up again, and because you didn't deal with it in the past, it's just going to keep popping up. So whoever you're mad at, get all that anger out right now. Whoever you're upset with, even if it's yourself, get that sadness out right now. If somebody triggered you, if there's something going on with you and you need to talk to somebody, talk about it right now, or I promise you it's going to stay stuck in you.
Jump on that trampoline or kick that bag or lift that weight or whatever.
So forgiveness and just processing those emotions, like processing, what I mean by that is like thinking about them. Well, why am I feeling this way? And releasing. So for me, a release is like crying, screaming, communication, journaling. That's how we release it. It's how we get it out of our mind, out of our hearts, all of that. And we can't manipulate what comes up and judge what comes up. We have to like be like, oh yeah, that thought doesn't feel good, but it is what it is. And why am I thinking that way? Why am I feeling that way? And be, again, very vulnerable and honest with yourself, because until you address those emotions and those disempowering thoughts, they're going to stick with you and they're going to potentially hinder your healing physically post-explant.
Hands down, they will, and even on a visceral level. And maybe that's another show where Tara might invite me on to talk, because I don't think I've ever had it full time. But I'm just saying. But I do say, for those like me who it's like I don't remember my childhood, not like a woe is me kind of thing. But the more I heal, the more I do what you say to do, the more I don't even know that I felt fully before or allowed the fullness or whatever. Not like, hey guys, like my childhood was blah, blah, blah. Like not anything. It's just how I grew up and like, this is how I was. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was so disconnected to myself. So I didn't even know like there was like this flow shit. And there is, and there's connection to, here, heart, gut, and then the pelvic region, which is all like some people call it the chakras or energy centers. Yeah. They're all your endocrine centers. That's all I know, right, from the Western side. And like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And for those who can't, just all I can say is feel the feels, hit the back. Like when you're angry, be like, oh yes, I'm angry at you. I'm not going to take my energy out or anger out at you, but oh, what the hell is that? Like, start to define the feelings. I mean, even start.
Don't feel bad that you're angry. Like, get angry. We humans have these emotions for a reason, to express them. So express those emotions that we have, those feelings that we have, and don't feel like, oh, I have to be so nice all the time. Like, if you're mad, talk about it. There's an effective way to talk about it and a non-effective way to talk about it, but it needs to be out in the open, whatever it is,
Feel the feels, share the feels in an appropriate way. Man, I wish people were, I don't know who's listening, but I really wish this was like a conversation, because this is the big deal. This is the juice, people.
There's a lot of ladies listening right now, and I know.
Hi, ladies.
And I know
this is the juice. No, seriously, like I cannot I'm so glad, Christina, you brought all this up, because like it is, and when we look at, and I don't mean this in any make wrong, I had implants too. 560 cc's. God knows why they were 560. That's another story. But for today, we all of us got implants because why? Ask yourself that. Not as in a make wrong, as a compassionate inquiry. to who you be as a person. You know, like, did we get implants because we wanted to have a bigger chest? Did I want implants because I had no chest and a six pack and I wanted to be a 48-year-old midlife crisis? Did I get implants because I was so young and I saw Pamela Anderson and Carmen Electra? She's awesome. Well, they're both awesome. You know, like, do I want a Brazilian butt lift because I want to, you know, have a higher butt? I was going to say ass. Do I want to not be 54 in December? Yeah. You know, like, and why? And why do I have all these thoughts? Is it culturally? Is it because of how my mom was raised? Is it how I viewed my mom in the mirror? Is it how my mom viewed herself in the mirror? Is it, what were the empowering, disempowering questions? What's the context? You know, like, and not as in a make wrong, but literally as a third person going, will you look at that? And that was for Leah Friedman, if she's watching. But, you know, it's an inquiry, it's a look and see, because every one of us, and I think this is the only major common thread, whether you had cancer, and I have not walked in your shoes, and this is not a make wrong. If you had cancer, or you just got them to look better, or because one breast was larger than the other at birth, or not birth, but puberty, whatever, right? Like, it's all over a lack. When we can, and I'm not saying that we all get breast implant illness because of the lack, but genetics, whatever. And sorry to do the plug for the summit. Like, we're trying to figure this shit out, but we're all doing this over a lack. And that alignment, that energy flow, that chakra flow, that inquisition is, when you have that flow, there's better health.
Yeah.
And so when you're waiting for explant, if you can be with that non-judgmentally and look at it in the third person and be with it lovingly and hold that space for that, then I don't need to work anymore. Truly. Sorry.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Danielle's always so deep. I love it. So
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Please don't ever say you're sorry. So
I'm excited.
We have another viewer who mentioned that she got her implants because of breast cancer. And I know you just touched upon that, you know, that whether no matter what the reason you got them for. But I just want to go back to forgiveness for a minute, because I know so many of us have a hard time with that. You know, forgiveness, it runs the gamut. Like, you got to forgive yourself. You have to forgive, like Christina was saying, maybe it was your ex-husband, or it was, people who made fun of you when you were younger for being in the itty bitty titty committee. And you also need to forgive, the doctors. Like the woman who's commenting right now is saying that the doctors didn't give her, the suggestions that she could even go flat, or that there was any other options other than implants. And we talked about that last week with Robin, and how we're hoping to see a change in that. So forgiveness is also forgiving people who misled us. And that is a hard thing. And this is where I had to, really dig deep on a spiritual level. For me, this was a very big spiritual journey, and being able to forgive those who are very difficult to forgive. That was huge for me. And I felt for the longest time, like forgiving somebody meant allowing what happened to be okay. And I have learned that it's not. Forgiving is actually allowing myself to heal and be happy. Yep. And so I to everybody who's listening, like, we want you to know that it's not, forgiving isn't saying like, oh, all right, you know what, it was all right that you misled me, or you did this to me, you hurt me. It's not, that's not it.
Permission. It's, I forgive you and you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, but I mean, for me, it is.
Okay.
And let me give you some hope to do this and this, or let me advocate for X, Y, and Z, but let it go.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. I'm just reading some of the comments. So Christina, what are some of the other I know you do a ton. Like you've got your YouTube and you've got a lot of things going on. So, what other ways would you like to touch upon that you are, helping women? Because I want people who are listening to know you're not alone. Even if you're not able to explant right now, we help women all day, almost every day. And so there's so many of us that you could reach out to and, privately message or within the group. So, just touch upon that, Christina. Like if somebody's hurting right now, how can they find you? How would you help them, kind of thing?
Well, I would definitely ask you to reach out to me personally, Christina@sizehappy.net. Just email me. Tell me you saw me on this show. And then of course there's all these support groups, and it's really what we're here for, is to offer you support, whatever you need. If you just need to vent, if you need to get something off your chest, if you have a question, gosh, I really wish I wish I knew about support groups when I was going through, because it would have made me feel so much better about my decision, about what I was going through. If I had questions, instead of taking just my doctor's advice, I could actually take advice from women who are going through it. So if you're going through it right now, with all this stuff that we talked about, just really sit with it. Give yourself that grace. Be gentle, extra loving to yourself. I'm always about finding the things and the people and everything that makes me feel happy. So whatever that is for you, if there are things or people or environments or anything in life that is just stressing you too much out right now, I would either suggest two things: is one, completely removing yourself from that situation, that person, whatever it may be, or if that's just not realistic, just telling yourself, hey, look, I can't avoid work. I can't avoid this thing. I can't avoid this person. So you know what? I'm going to just focus on myself. I'm going to put myself in a bubble, is what I essentially do. I'm going to zip it up, and I'm not going to allow that person's negativity to get in my little bubble. I'm going to remain positive in myself, and however they choose to react, respond, or whatever the situation may be, that's on them. But I'm gonna do the best that I can to really protect myself and my happiness right now more than ever, because it's very important. So definitely, doing all the things and being around all the people that really make you feel happy and safe and heard and understood. Removing yourself from anything that doesn't.
And knowing that self-love and self-care is not selfish, right?
Absolutely. So, if you can spend some time with yourself every day, it doesn't have to be a certain amount of time or whatever it may be. My definition of self-love and self-care is anything that makes you feel pretty or happy. So whatever that may be, it could be going to a zoo, it could be being around animals, it could be gardening, it could be painting your nails, it could be going shopping, it could be taking a bath, it could be whatever, watching a comedy. If it makes you feel pretty and if it makes you happy, do it all day long. And if it doesn't, bye, Felicia. Just focus on yourself. I did write down a couple of things. I'm all into healing frequencies. You can find them on YouTube. I know I share them a lot in my group, and people probably think I'm weird, but I believe in them. So
have you used tuning forks by chance?
What's that?
Tuning forks by chance?
What is it?
Healing tuning forks?
Oh, no. I know. I see those all the time and I want to get them. Yeah, there's those. You could just go on YouTube and look for healing frequencies, healing, whatever it may be. And I love to play those things either when I'm working, when I'm cleaning the house, taking a bath, or if I'm getting ready to go to sleep. Because our body really does pick up on different vibrations and different energies. And so if we bombard our body with these different sounds and these different frequencies, it really does help our body. Some other things, and again, this is a lot of this is free. So again, the meditation, I know we hear it all the time, and a lot of us, myself included, I have monkey brain, I think is what it's called. I'm always just thinking, but if you can just really center in and ground on yourself and your body and what's going on with you right now, it would really be beneficial for you. Visualization, I love visualization. I actually have a visualization in both phases of the BII bridge. So for those of you that are waiting to explant, I put myself through my perfect explant surgery visualization. So like everything that I wanted my explant to look like so for instance, I wake up on time, I get to my explant surgery on time, my surgeon is well fed, he's happy, he's in a good mood, he has a steady hand. I go through my surgery, it takes 3 hours. Everything gets removed. I end up healing wonderfully. I wake up and I'm in no pain. Like everything that I wanted for myself in my surgery, I just called it in for myself. And I did this every night before I went to bed. And I'm not even joking. The way that I visualized my surgery did end up happening. My surgery was, I think, 2.5 to 3 hours. I woke up feeling fine. My surgeon was chipper. I got there on time. Like I healed okay besides my rashes. But just really visualize what it is that you want for yourself in any area of life, and really call it in for yourself, because what the mind can see, it'll call in and it'll look for and it'll bring to you. So visualize whatever that may be. Visualize peace, visualize comfort, safety, being happy, whatever it may be. And again, it's free. And then grounding, so going outside barefoot, getting fresh air, getting some sunlight, moving your body is huge. Getting your body, moving your body, even just doing this, just move your body. Go on a trampoline, a rebounder, whatever feels right for you day to day. So some days you might want to lift weights and just like push your body. Some days you might just want to mellow out and do yoga. Some days you might just want to go for a walk. Some days you might want to dance. So just
or stay in bed.
Or stay in bed. But I'm talking about moving your body. So it's really important to get up and move our body, because again, I was a very big couch potato when I wasn't feeling well. And every time I moved my body, I just felt so much better. I felt like I did something for myself in my body that day. It just helped me mentally, and I would make better choices during the day and stuff like that. So I know that it is hard for some women, especially if you have joint pains and all of this stuff, to really move around. I understand. But I really do feel like moving your body in some way, shape, or form will help you mentally as well. So those are just some things. And I can't emphasize enough just being surrounded by people who, they don't have to understand you, but they do have to support you, in my opinion. I'm always seeing posts like, they don't understand me and all this. And I'm like, it'd be great if everybody understood what I was going through, but as long as they support me and they make me feel like they're listening to me, that's really what matters at the end of the day, because my husband didn't really understand what I was going through. He didn't get it. But he supported me, and that made all of the difference.
Yeah. The other thing, one of our listeners said, Lisa, she said that helping others is helping her heal.
Oh, thank you.
I think that is absolutely 100% true. And so I feel that for myself. You two agree, yes?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is my go-to. If I feel sad or, I want to show up for somebody else.
Even Danielle has something going on right now in her life, and yet she showed up today because I feel like, and I kept saying, like, if you can't be here, it's okay. And she kept saying, no, I need to be there. Like, this is, so I didn't push anymore, because I thought to myself, no, she's right. She does need to be here, because this is going to help her continue to heal. So
yeah,
I mean, it's huge for us. And I think anybody who is having trouble, you're in the middle of the healing, reach out to someone else that may also be having a hard time, and connect. The connections that we have formed, I honestly couldn't live without. I don't go one day without talking to one of our breast implant illness sisters, not one day. And they bring so much, just like we bring value to these groups and we bring value to the community. Every woman brings value to my life, and I know I do the same for others. So, instead of sitting in silence at home and still suffering with maybe whatever it is that you're going through, reach out to someone else and really connect, because those connections are going to save you, and they just might save your life.
Yeah. And even and I agree with you about, move, stick your legs up in the air, move your feet, do what you can do. And I do know some women who are bedridden, and hopefully you can pick up the phone and join one of the groups or get connected that way, and then share your story.
And you could journal.
Yeah. No, but it is about, and that's the bigger way. Wait, which way do I, no, shoot.
I know.
Do that again, Tara. There we go. It's totally the wrong way over here for me, but, knowing your story. So my favorite quote, and please, someone who's out there, is it Aristotle or Socrates, who said, "To thy own self be true"? Well, you got to know yourself. And man, that's a journey and a half. And and journaling, I think, I hate it, Tara.
It's okay.
But I love it. But it works. When I do it, it works. Like at the 3 a.m. when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna remember that.
I know, right? Never happens.
So I now have a journal on the side of my bed and a pen. And sometimes it's a rant just to get that out of my head so I can go back to sleep. And then I try to read it in the morning, and sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. Yeah. But no, it is actually, it is, sometimes I'll try to type it in my phone, but there's something about writing it down.
Yeah, pen to paper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up, but Christina, before we go, I want to say, like we said before, you're so busy and you've got your business of Size Happy, and that has evolved. You've got clothes and all sorts of stuff, right? Which is just really promoting whatever size you are. You need to own yourself, love yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Exactly.
So I love that. And also you do something called the BII Bridge.
Yep.
Okay.
So Bridge is an acronym. It stands for body image, root cause, immune system, detox, gut health, emotions, and exercise. So the BII Bridge is a mind and a body program. I focus on the emotional and the mental aspect in this program. Dr. Amelia, who's my partner, she is a chiropractor, women's health specialist, and a detox specialist. She focuses on the physical body. So she stays in her lane, I stay in mine. It's a very holistic thing because we both firmly believe that the mind and the body need to be in the same place in order for healing to happen. If you believe you're not going to heal, if you're questioning your healing, if you're doubting,
not worthy or not good enough, or
it's going to hinder your healing. So when we were both going through this, it would have made at least her and I's life so much easier to know, like, when do I do something? Why do I do something? How do I do something? How much of something do I take? So we're like, well, why don't we just make things so much easier for these women? Because there is so much great information in groups and online. Like I'll say that there's so much information, but oftentimes, like for me, it led me with, well, when do I do this and how do I do this? And so there's a pre-op phase, which is called the fighter phase, and there's a post-op phase, which is called the warrior phase. Pre-op, we focus on preparing you for that explant physically and emotionally. And post-op, we focus on helping you heal and detox post-explant, both emotionally and physically. We just really wanted to make things a lot easier for the women who are going through explanting because, again, there is a lot of information out there, and information is great, but if you don't have the proper implementation, it can be quite risky, especially if you're on any other medications or anything like that. So, that's the BII Bridge.
Very cool. Okay. And I didn't know until I really looked it up. I didn't know what the acronym was. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I love it. The main things that we focus on. So it's anything from body image to detox. I mean, we cover it all because we go through all of that stuff, especially when we're getting ready to explant.
Very cool. Well, I feel like we could talk for another hour or three. And Christina is also writing her own book. She's in the process of that. So that's something that we can look forward to. And I just, thank you, Christina, for everything that you do for our community. On behalf of all women, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you were here with us, and I would like to, I'm going to cry. I'd like to dedicate this live for Stephanie, who took her life this week. So if anybody's going through something and needs somebody, please reach out to us. We're here And we do
Yeah,
this.
don't ever feel ashamed or embarrassed or like you're going to be a bother or anything.
Oh my God.
If there's something on your mind, do not bottle it up, and do not just reach out. Don't even question anything. We're here for you. And when we say that, we absolutely mean it. We're here for you.
Yeah,
we are. Yeah, we're open 24/7. So reach out to us, and please don't ever feel like a bother or like you're going to look silly. We want to be here for you. This is why we do this. We're here to help. So, this doesn't need to happen.
Yes. So thank you guys. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Christina. I love you both. And thank you guys for watching. And I'm sorry for crying.
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.